Stop the presses. For the first time in a month, the Braves have won back-to-back games. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on in to the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. That handsome fellow over there is Jake Mastroianni, host of Locked On Braves. And as you can tell, Jake, I'm in a bit of a good mood here. The Atlanta Braves take down Colorado 12-4 in the series opener. They hit multiple three-run home runs. First time they had hit a three-run home run since April 23rd. They win back-to-back games for the first time since May 15th and 16th. Shout out to Savannah broadcasting legend Dave Williams for that stat. Jake, how mad were you in the fifth inning of this one when it looked like Atlanta was going to lose 4-1 to Colorado?
You know, it's so crazy, the game of baseball, how quickly things can change and what 11 unanswered runs can do for your mood and your momentum. Because midway through this game, I'm thinking they're about to lose game one of this series to the Rockies. Yep. I'm so done with this team. I can't believe I got to talk about them for the rest of the season. Here we are going on another postcast. We're just going to be angry and mad.
People
Michael
like
Harris
the
hits
angry
the whole
Jake.
run. Yeah, and it's just all things just change so quickly, and that's what's happening. That's what we've been waiting for with this Braves team. We've been waiting for that momentum shifting change. Look at the Rockies. I get it. I don't care. So somebody in the comments say, let's just sit back, relax, and enjoy this win. And you absolutely should, because this was the win that I wanted to see. And I talked about it on the podcast the other day that this is one of those series. I don't care if the pitching doesn't pitch well, and Elder didn't pitch well in this game.
He heard you. Yeah, he didn't. We'll get to him later. Yeah.
What I need to see is this offense go to work and win this series, no matter what the pitching does. Of course, I'd love to see both. I'd love to see great pitching. I'd love to see great offense. But my point coming into this series was it's one of those where the offense has to win it. If the pitching doesn't have it, I want to see the offense win it. And early on, looked like that wasn't going to happen. But man, they came on late, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the beginning of this game, it felt like Atlanta had a little bit of opportunities here and there, but they just really struggled against German Marquez, who entered this game with an ERA over 7. He goes 5 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. The only run is on a sac fly with the bases loaded. And coming out of that with only 1 run, I was right there where you were. I was about to throw in the towel and be like, you know what? This team is like, if you can't score more than a run there, you're in trouble. But the Braves come back. They rally again, 3 in the 6th, 3-run home run from Michael Harris, 3 in the 7th. Marcell Ozuna gets the home run. He's a guy I've talked about a lot. I wrote about him actually for tomorrow's newsletter about how he's been struggling recently. He's not been very good, and he hasn't had a day off since he came back with the hip thing. And I was going to argue maybe you should put him on the IL or give him a couple days off. He goes out there, gets that home run. Atlanta adds 5 more in the 8th. I think the biggest thing for me, obviously, big picture, the offense was great, right? Atlanta got 4 consecutive hits with runners in scoring position in the 8th inning. And yes, it's Colorado. They're still professional, like they're still Major League Baseball players. And to be able to do that when that's been the biggest issue, I'd argue, for this team all season, gives me a little bit of hope that when you wrap up with Colorado and you're facing New York and you're facing Philly, maybe that's something that can carry over, is hitting in those clutch situations.
I mean, that's been the problem all year, right? And, again, like you said, it is Colorado. And I think CJ had the line of the night for me that it made me chuckle. He said, who knew all we had to do was get German Marquez out of the game for the offense to take off? But it was frustrating early on. You had 7 strikeouts against German Marquez and that big, ERA over 7 coming into it. You had the big 3-run homers, and we've talked about it too. If this offense is going to get going, the home runs have to be part of it. But to your point, in order to win those close games, in order to win those games against better competition, you got to have some innings where you can string some hits together and score in different ways. So it was good to see them do a little bit of both here in this one. But, there's no question until they're able to do some retooling of the roster, which might happen in the offseason. We'll see. Yeah. This lineup was built to do one thing and one thing really, really well, and that's hit home runs. And they did it in this game, but they also did a little bit more of that. And this offense is going to get on track. They need more of those 2 3-run homers, because to your point, Marcell Ozuna was not good this game until he hit that 3-run home run. He had some bad at bats. Austin Riley had some terrible at bats, and I was ready to run here and just grill them for not coming through in clutch situations. But fortunately, Ozuna got a hanging slider, did not miss it. Riley gets a hit later in the game as well. But everybody kind of contributing in the end. That's what happens when you score 11 unanswered.
Yeah. And Michael Harris, I want to get to him for a second, because he's been in. Even Mark Bowman of MLB.com pointed this out on social media. So it's a very obvious talking point at this point, that he's been very good in high leverage situations. He's been very bad in low leverage situations. And CJ had a great stat on the broadcast. In the strike zone, pitches in the strike zone, he's hitting almost 300 like he normally does. It's just he's chasing so much. His overall number is 238. That 3-run home run, as of right now, I feel comfortable saying that was the biggest home run of the Braves season so far. Now, obviously, if that wouldn't have happened, you maybe still could have gotten the Ozuna one the next inning. You maybe could have gotten the 5 runs. But giving the fans, the team, that hope by tying the game up with that feels like it's the biggest homer of the season so far. And in his last 15 games, Michael Harris is batting .288. with a .458 slug. He's got 3 homers, 10 RBI. Feels like we're getting a lot closer to the old Michael Harris being back.
And June's normally when he starts to take off, right? I mean, that we've seen this with Michael Harris in the past. Now, look, even in the at-bat where he hit the 3-run homer, he had a pretty wild swing on the first pitch of that at-bat. A curveball that just dives under his hands. Wasn't really, it looks closer on the screen on MLB Game Day, but he had some pretty wild swings, and that's part of his game. He's going to chase. His chase rate has always been high. We have projected him to grow because we're hoping at some point he stops chasing all of those pitches. But as to your point and CJ's point in the broadcast, he's still really good in the zone, and he got a slider in the zone. And that's a big moment for him. You talked about it being one of the bigger home runs of the year. Yeah. I'll be honest, and I posted this on social media. My confidence level was very low in that at bat with Michael Harris coming up, especially after seeing that first pitch. They threw a curveball second pitch just to see if he would chase of it. I don't even see it on the game day screen here
in the dirt below the screen.
Yeah, they were just trying to see if what he would chase, because he will. And so for him to get that pitch, not miss it, to tie the game, I mean, momentum shifted from that point. I mean, he doesn't come through, like you said, maybe everything else still works out the way that it did. But that hit, that swing right there, it just felt like it catapulted this team. And it's against probably their best pitcher overall in Jake Bird. I mean, he has definitely been their best relief pitcher and their ace out of the bullpen. He might just be their best pitcher on the team. And to be able to get that done, to come back and win this game, big swing for the team, big swing for Michael Harris. And hopefully, as you mentioned, we're starting to see him, that second half Michael Harris, really start to kick it in gear. That'd be huge for this Braves team.
Yeah. I want to get to the pitching. Before we do that, one last thing for Ronald Acuna Jr. Another 3-hit game. That's 9 hits in his last 13 at-bats. Not a mathematician, not a statistician. I think that's good. He would have had another one. He hit a ball 113, and it was a expected batting average of 720.
Yeah, he should have hit it somewhere different, Lindsay. You can't, you got to hit it somewhere else.
Jordan Beck was even amazed that he caught it. Jordan Beck was surprised that he made that play. But Ronald also stole his first base of the year today. And I think that's big, because you and I have talked about this on the show before. You see the sprint speed. He got, he scored on that sac fly. You saw him break out a bolt. I think it was a bolt there. I haven't seen the official StatCast numbers yet. But Ronald being able to add the stolen base dimension back in. I don't think he'll run as much as he did, obviously. That was a little unsustainable. But Ronald, who can get on base, 3 hits and probably a walk in every game. I think he walked once tonight, so 4 times on base. And being a threat to steal bases a little bit more. That really feels like now you're in a position where that could unlock more performance like this for the Reds. Because you saw what Michael Harris did to the first baseman with the threat of running. He misses the pickoff throw. He makes a bad throw to second, 2 errors on the same play. What could Ronald Acuna Jr. do for this offense doing that?
Yeah, it takes this offense to another level. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When Ronald can run, and I talked about this on the Mailbag podcast on Friday too,
You did.
for one of our questions, it's not just Ronald stealing bases. It's the threat of him stealing bases and what it does to the pitcher and having to speed up your mechanics and having to throw more fastballs and guys behind him getting more fastballs. It does so much outside of just getting a runner in scoring position. Now, I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit on this stolen base because to me, it looked more like a hit and run rather than just a straight steal. Either way, he was running, and that's good.
He was in motion.
Yeah, and he stole it with ease, even being a hit and run. Because you could look at it even in the replay. He was looking back. Maybe it even slowed down just a little bit. Went in feet first with kind of an awkward slide there. So I don't know that it was necessarily just a straight steal,
right.
But at least kind of, hopefully kicks that idea in gear and says, hey, I can do this, because you're right, with the threat, just the threat of Ronald stealing and obviously him doing it a little bit more can really help this offense take off. That start hitting a home run ball and you're back to being one of the best offenses in baseball again.
Yeah. All right. So in just a second, not all positive. I do want to talk about Bryce Elder and then the pitching in general. Shout out to Spencer Schwellenbach for having a complete game on Wednesday, because you went through almost your entire pen today. You threw 6 relievers today. We'll do that next right here on the Braves Postcast. My weekends can be really busy, right? I'm staying up to talk about the Atlanta Braves with you guys, but I also host MLB Game Night. We go live after the final West Coast game is done for a 30-minute recap show. It's very common on the weekends. I don't get to bed till 2 a.m. or so, and I've got to get up in the morning with the kids. And so because of that, coffee is essential for me. And because it's essential, I don't want to settle for anything less than amazing. And that's where Trade Coffee comes in. They've become one of my favorite sponsors with the Locked On Podcast Network. It's the #1 coffee destination in the U.S. Fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. It doesn't matter how you drink it. You can be a cold brew fan, a pour over purist. They have a roast you'll love. You take a quiz when you first start with them, and they ask you questions about how you drink it, how you make it, how much you drink, all of that stuff. And then they go and it's like a minute-long quiz. And then they go and find the perfect roast from all of their different top roasters, the perfect bag for you. And if that match isn't perfect, they will replace it for free until they get it right. And the prices, exactly the same as the grocery store brands, but the flavor is just so much better. Okay. So right now, Trade is exclusively offering you guys 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's drinktrade, TRADE.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. That's drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. We have a lot of opinions about this team, right? Some of us are believers in this Atlanta Braves team after we saw the second half of this game. Some of us are not believers in this team after we saw the first half of this game. Either way, FanDuel can take care of you here because they make it easy to stay in the game both before first pitch and live. Player props, performance trends, same game parlays. You have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If you thought that it was over when Colorado was up 4-1, guess what? It's really easy to go in there and place the appropriate bets. If you knew Atlanta was going to come back and do it, you could go in there in game, place a bet on Michael Harris, place a bet on Marcell Ozuna to hit some 3-run home runs or to hit home runs in general and earn money off of your faith in this team. So if you're new to FanDuel, it is the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel. All right, Jake, this was the first, I'm going to say, bad outing for Bryce Elder in a while. And he's been a revelation. He was so good in San Francisco over the weekend. 8 innings, 12 strikeouts, no walks. This one, 7 hits, 4 runs, and 3 1/3. He walks 3, only strikes out 2. He also hit 2 batters, So he put 5 guys on base for free. I really kind of struggled with this. It looked like the 2-seamer, the sinker, was really just not cooperating with him. He threw 37 of them. It had a 38% strike rate. Like, he just could not get it in the zone. And so because of that, I mean, they put 6 of them into play. He really kind of struggled. It doesn't feel like anything long-term, though, to be worried about, though. Like, for the most part, everything else was mostly fine. He just didn't have that one establishing pitch and had to come out early.
He's your 5th, 6th starter. He's going to have games like this. I will say the Rockies were swinging a good bat coming into this series. They had scored at least 5 runs in their last 4 games coming into this one, including scoring 8 in their finale against the Giants, getting the walk-off win. And they kind of continued that into the beginning of this game. I mean, they had, I think it was 11 hits in the first 4 innings of this game. They finished with 14. So they were swinging pretty good bats coming into this one. And so that combined with Elder just not being quite as sharp, defense didn't make some plays behind him either. And that's something he has to depend on. He's not usually going to get all the strikeouts like he got in his last start. He is usually somebody that relies on really good defense behind him. It's a wet, rainy night too. I mean, you saw some bad plays on both sides. Nick Allen actually made a throwing error. You saw the 2-base error on Michael Harris's pickoff attempt. Not making excuses and everything here, but Elder just had an off night. And like I said, he's your 5th, 6th starter. He's going to have games like that.
How poetic was it that Nick Allen booted a ground ball that Orlando Arcia hit to him? And then they ruled
at that point when I was like, okay, this is not going to go well for the Braves. When
the scoring doesn't make sense though. Like, the Mickey Moniak was on second and he goes back to the bag. And then when the ball gets through Allen, he turns and runs to third. Like, how is that not a hit and an error at least, instead of just a straight hit? It's the home cooking on the on everything there. But after that, it really felt like, I'm going to give Snit credit. We rarely do that, it feels like, but it felt like he pulled a lot of the triggers correctly here. They go to Aaron Bummer. The first ground ball off of Aaron Bummer, like, he gets the ground ball and it's just not fielded by the defense. It was placed really well, but Bummer gets out of the inning with no runs allowed on him. Pierce Johnson, inning of the third, 3 hits, but again, no runs. You get the plays, you shut it down. Dylan Dodd looked really good to finish that inning off. And then De Los Santos, Iglesias looked good. They both get holds. Dylan Lee for the 9th. I feel like Snit kind of got the bullpen right in all of these situations, going from the righty to the lefty, getting the ground ball guy in at the right time. And then Iglesias in the 8th, he's really started to look really good in that inning as well.
Yeah, I'll start with Iggy because he threw a couple sliders in this one way outside of the zone, which I am fine with, and then one that was a perfect swing and miss pitch to get a strikeout. So that is big. I mean, he tried to ditch that pitch and just go with the sinker, 4-seam, change up, and it just didn't work. Especially not against righties when they can just keyhole a pitch down and in. So being able to get that slider on track is going to help Iggy get back on track. And you're right. I thought Snit played this well. And not that I'm calling myself, prophetic here or anything, but I did post this. I said, you cannot if you want to win this game, you cannot let Bryce Elder face the lineup a 3rd time. Unfortunately, he did, and it led to one of the runs, but then he did quickly get him out of that, limited the damage, and the bullpen was great from there. You saw him go to Pierce Johnson in the 5th inning, and this one, De Los Santos has quietly been one of the best relievers for the Atlanta Braves. So you saw it go, and you even saw him go with Dylan Lee to finish it off. I'm assuming because he was already up before the Braves really exploded things, and you just had the extra rest, just shut it down. You saw what happened against the Diamondbacks. You weren't going to play around there. You already had them up to go. So big credit to Snitker. I mean, I would say you had to. It's still a game on June 13th, but it felt like a game that you knew again, I keep putting out, you felt like your offense could come back and win eventually, and you had to shut things down there early on, and he did that. So big kudos to Snitker. He managed this like a game you really needed to win, and they did.
Pulling Elder when they did. I mean, he was at like 76 pitches. It was clear he didn't have it. They said, Penn's rested, and you have an off day on Monday. Let's go ahead and do it. On your note on Eniel De Los Santos, in the month of, I think it's here, I had it here, and he is not allowed a run in the month of June. In the month of May, he had an ERA of 1.69. Like, Eniel De Los Santos has just been very good for a month and a half, and I don't quite think that we've talked about it. We've been so frustrated with the bad parts of the bullpen, right? The Iglesias, the blew it, blow up, when blew it. I had not made that joke all year until now. I'm going to make it finally. We're in a good mood here on a Friday night. I can make the joke. De Los Santos, a guy that they're going to be able to use in higher leverage. Even the decisions, I initially questioned having Alex Verdugo batting second. He has a history against German Marquez. It's a very old history, but that absolutely worked. And then Snit goes to Eli White. And it felt like that was at just the right time as well. And is this just like, has Snit learned from some of these mistakes, or is this just anybody can do it right one time? Let's see some more of this going forward.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you're starting to find some sort of combination there that you feel comfortable with. I mean, Bummer and De Los Santos, I feel like have been two of your better arms, but they've been pitching in these kind of bridge situations where starter leaves early and you're trying to get Bummer to get you through maybe multiple innings or get you 4 or 5 outs, and then De Los Santos kind of pieces it together in that 6th, 7th inning, and then you kind of see what happens. And they've been great at that. They haven't really been given those higher leverage 7th, 8th inning situations too often, but maybe they need him.
Maybe they should
right now. Dylan Dodd comes into this one. I know he walked the lefty, but he threw a pretty good inning. I think he should get some more opportunities, especially against those lefties. Also want to give credit to Snitker too, while we're giving him a lot of praise here, because I've seen a lot of people say it in the comments section. Verdugo batting second. I'm not gonna lie, I saw the lineup card and I said, what are we doing? Not only are you putting Verdugo in the lineup, you're batting him second. But, props to Brian Snitker. Verdugo had good numbers against Marquez, even though it was mostly going back to 2019. But you put him in the 2-hole, and he comes up with a couple of big hits there. So, yeah, big night for Brian Snitker.
Listen, if there's anybody we trust to pull out the VHS tapes to look and see what Verdugo did against him, it's Brian Snitker. And he's the guy who's going to have the VHS tapes of what Verdugo did back then against this pitcher. Here's the thing. You still have Rafael Montero and Jose Ruiz not used in the pen. You used everybody else, though. So we've got to hope you get a little bit more depth tomorrow. Spencer Strider is the starter against Chase Dollander. Reminder, Dollander was the guy who made the start in the series finale, where he just really kind of shut down Atlanta in a shorter start in a disappointing 2-1. I think it was a 2-1 Braves loss. So Dollander versus Strider. That's 4:10 p.m. tomorrow. We will be back to talk about that game when it is over. Hopefully we're talking about another win. Again, we're going to manifest this. That's what we're doing. In the meantime, Jake mentioned the mailbag a couple times. Go subscribe to Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta. Hit the notification bell. Catch up on the mailbag. Jake always getting to everybody's questions. If you hit the notification bell, you'll know when he goes live for the mailbag, so you can ask the question in the chat. If you're listening on audio, leave us a 5-star review. Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music. Some words of affirmation would be great. We're all in good moods right now. Throw out the words of affirmation. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been the Braves Postcast.